Hey, this is Rick, and welcome to Spit Take Shooting Star Press. And today we got a lot on the docket. Today I'm here with Zach. Say hi, Zach.
Hello.
Yeah, so we're just going to get right on to it. And the first things first, just an update on the whole Vince McMahon fiasco. If you're behind on that, there's been allegations against Mr. McMahon, Vince McMahon, who obviously is the former owner of WWE, who has had sexual allegations against him and sex trafficking allegations against him, and had former female employees sign NDAs so they could not speak or talk to the media about these sexual allegations. Apparently, it's being reported that the WWE did not have knowledge that he had these women sign these NDAs, so they might be considered void. I'm no lawyer. I don't know how all this works. I'm sure that these women that want to come out and talk and speak on this probably want to get their own legal advice before they come out and talk about this. I know Miss Grant, has her own legal team and lawsuit going on, and she has 67 pages of stuff that she has told all on. And when you say told all, she told the dirty details of everything. If you're interested in crazy stuff that 70-year-old grandpas do, I mean, it's an interesting story. Zach, you got anything on that?
Just hearing just like some of the rumors and stuff on there because we can't. We're no legal deal where it's none of it hasn't been proven in the court of law, so we can't really say right now this is just allegations. But if any of it's true, like he's just kind of it's disgusting. And then if to go any further on about the other women coming out, because basically the NDAs are null and void if this is to be true. Oh, this is going to get worse, especially for a company that now is just like went through a massive merger.
Yeah, and they're doing their best to separate themselves from Vince McMahon, and Brock Lesnar was implicated in all that too, and they've tried to separate themselves from Brock Lesnar and making sure he wasn't involved in the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania.
The only problem is, like, how do you separate the WWE from Vince McMahon?
Yeah, and when you go back, and the reason the WWE is as popular as it is now is because of the Stone Cold Vince McMahon rivalry. But you know what, though? I mean, that's kayfabe for you, right? He lives the gimmick, So, I mean, there you go.
Again, as what I said before, it's just funny, like how little he had to put on to play that character.
Yeah. You thought he was acting. No, because you saw all the sick stuff he did through the ruthless aggression era and stuff like that with Tori Wilson and all those other Trish Stratus and all the other women. He in the Kiss My Ass Club and all that stuff. Like, that's all the real Vince McMahon.
Well, apparently it's just like, as they say, the best wrestling characters, you take a certain part of your personality and you just crank it up to 11. Apparently, he just had to turn everything down.
Yeah. He's like, how can I make this PG friendly and put it on TV? But he has allegedly gotten away with stuff in the past. The whole steroids trial back in the 90s, I mean,
as fans, we've kind of already like watched it, like the different stuff there. I mean, he's been able to get away because he's had great freaking lawyers
Mhm.
to be able to get away with this. But I don't know, maybe it's finally catching up with him.
And that's my thing. And you can say what you want. Miss Grant was a 21-year-old girl. Um, and it is kind of sad what happened to her. And I'm not going to express my opinion on it. There are two sides of this. But what I will say is, unless Vince McMahon is either in jail or loses all his money as just a schmuck in a nursing home or used to be somebody, he's not going to give a crap. He
Huh?
doesn't give a crap what the people think about him. If he still has millions or billions of dollars, and he doesn't care what normal people think about him. He never did. So
He
unless
did.
he faces real repercussions, then what does it matter to me?
Or well, hell, like he didn't like you say we make the joke about like how he didn't really care like what the fans really wanted. So does he? Yeah, he's not gonna care what they think about him.
Yeah, like he's gonna be, okay. Here's my like. It's only his ego that's going to be hurting. Oh, you beat me. You beat me by taking some of my money, but I still got a lot of money and I'm going to die rich still. Okay. And now,
Fair,
I mean,
fair enough. But when you put that in there, there was nobody with as massive as an ego as that man.
for sure. For
So
sure. And
maybe that will do something to hurt his bruises ego a bit.
it does, but it's just not good enough for me
No,
personally.
no, of course
Um,
not.
I want with somebody that's done that much. I'm a father. I have a wife. I have a daughter. I know you too. When I see somebody that does that kind of trash to women, I want to see you suffer. If I ever hear of anybody doing that trash to my daughter or my wife or my mom or anybody like that, Lord help you, because I don't know how much longer you're going to be breathing. So that when I when
You
I
get
when I
very
put my
dark.
daughter in that position, like if I think of Miss Grant, put my daughter in that position, like I, I don't want his ego just to be hurting. There's a
Yeah,
lot more I
there,
want to be hurting there.
put that in the case when it's like your daughter, there is like no amount of money that's going to keep you away.
Right. And you know, I mean, it's good that maybe the women are getting compensation for it and everything. Maybe they deserve it. I don't know. It's not for me to say, but yeah, like I said, unless he face real repercussions, it doesn't do much for me. That's me personally.
Yeah,
Next up, starting with Raw, we're basically just covering probably the bigger stories that we thought were the bigger stories, and we might kind of add some more as we go along. But uh, Punk, CM Punk, he had the tricep injuries. He came out with a what do you call it, a sling on
yep.
Raw at the beginning of Raw, and kind of talked about the Cubs. And I said, there's always next year. Heel Drew McIntyre came out, which I really love. Heel Drew McIntyre. I like heel Drew McIntyre a lot better than face Drew McIntyre, by the way. And I do love Drew McIntyre because he's that guy that you can just place anywhere, anytime, and he'll do the role. Um,
Oh yes.
but he came out there, had a pretty good interaction. He basically says, I want the title and I want WrestleMania. Um, and I don't know, what was your thoughts on that?
I mean, like just some of the work he's putting in, just as we say, just healing it up. Like, and he's not to mention just the a little bit cocky. Like, you really in there twisting the knife, but there's not really much you can do to stop him. Like, it's not just that he's not the heel that where oh, like he's just like getting out of there by the skin of his teeth. No, this dude will legitimately kick the shit out of you. And
Yeah.
and he will laugh in your face as he does it. And all of your misfortunes. Like that freaking little short he posted about, make sure you do your tricep workouts just to rub it in Punk's face that, he's out for a tricep injury.
Yeah.
Just good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah. And they are making a big deal out of it because I guess Punk was supposed to face Rollins, I believe, at
Yep.
WrestleMania. And so this injury really screwed things up. And quite honestly, Punk keeps getting injured. And
Yeah.
I mean, you gotta think this is gonna keep happening. Um, I don't know. He's just not Ric Flair, who can just go on and on and on. You know,
But
Hulk Hogan, who
but
can just go on and on and on. Like these old school wrestlers, maybe they were just built differently. They were big, they were muscular, maybe they trained smarter. What was the difference between these guys and
oh,
um
we're also talking about like, to be fair, these guys we're talking about like guys who are, actual like athletes. And no offense to Punk, because Punk's like he's busted his butt and he really made himself into something more with his mouth than his in ring, and he did some great in ring stuff. But is that you hear all the backstage stuff like about him training and whatnot? Like he's not an athletic person. Like he makes it work, but he's not freaking Brock Lesnar who can, freaking at the combine runs like a 4.6 40, or like you can bench press 225 pounds, or like clear like a 40-50 inch vertical. Like he's not that guy. And you got plenty of guys like that in there that, he's been able to outwork. Yeah, like he's there by his worth ethic and his mouth. But again,
yeah.
he's probably one. He's also what we don't like to say because we do love some of the smaller wrestlers, but he is a smaller guy, mixing it in with guys like bigger than him.
But you got
You're like
Rey
a throw around.
Mysterio. He's Rey Mysterio's like 50, ain't he? And he's still
Yeah,
going, still looking good.
and
Rey
he's bad,
Mysterio looks freaking good, dude.
and
Like,
he's battled injuries too, just because of his style of wrestling. But again, you're talking about a guy who, yeah, he's taking care of himself. You have to, but he's like 50 years old. But you're talking about a guy who's still, we're still freaking athletic. Like he can still do the stuff that he was doing at 20 years old, and that's
yeah,
freaking crazy.
yeah. That's what I'm
But
saying. Like he's still got the same style. I mean, maybe not all of it. Maybe not all the crazy lucha libre stuff he
you'd
used to
you'd
do
say
in
he's
Triple
probably
X
maybe,
Mania or whatever, but
yeah, he's probably a little bit smarter knowing when and where to do it,
right.
which comes with that. What he's got, 30 years in the business at this point.
Yeah. But then you also got another one that's in his 50, R-Truth, and it looks like him and Miz are teaming up together again against the Judgment Day because they had a little interaction on Raw too. And R-Truth, he's still looking really good for what is he like 52 or something like that? I don't know, look that
He's
up.
in there just again, good genetics, knows how to take care of himself,
Yeah, he's
and then not to
52.
Not to mention, he's still mixing up in the ring, but there's so much of his stuff in this stage that it's just backstage stuff. Like he still
Yeah,
gets in there, but
he's
he's
not
more
doing it as
known.
much.
Yeah,
But it looks like he is doing something with the Miz again, which I really like.
that could be fun. Like especially because yeah, they used him a little bit at last year's WrestleMania, but like Miz is like, it's taken a while, but he has gained the respect of pretty much every single wrestling fan and a person who's deserving of a nice spot at WrestleMania just by the sheer work he's put in over the years.
Yeah,
So
I think
him,
both
our
those
truth,
guys are.
both, yes, and our truth as well. But both those guys, what potentially are we talking a tag team title match at WrestleMania could be? That could be fun.
I don't know about a WrestleMania. Maybe like
Well,
Elimination
elimination.
Chamber or
Yeah,
something. I think that would be a lame WrestleMania. I think there's a lot of good tag teams out there that I'd like to see. You know, a lot of good young tag teams that are more exciting. There was a good tag team, the four-way last night, I thought was pretty exciting. I
yeah.
mean, they weren't like huge tag teams, but like, um, they had the LWO, they had what's
Tyler Bates and Pete Dunne.
Pete Dunne, and I was talking about that when I did my SmackDown review this morning. I'm glad he's back to Pete Dunne.
Oh yes.
But like I like them. But there's a lot of like, primetime players, there's
It
a there's a lot
it's a
of good, huh?
yeah. Yeah, I was just saying it's a because like you're saying, there's just so many good tag teams. It's a shame we only got one set of belts on the main roster.
Right. Next thing we wanted to talk about, Bailey uh came down on Raw to announce her WrestleMania opponent, and Rhea Ripley came out and she's like, "You better not pick me," and Nia Jax came down and absolutely demolished Rhea Ripley, and then got in Bailey's face, and I really liked how that was done because you really bought that Bailey was frightened of Nia Jax.
Yeah,
And yeah, kind of seeing where it was going. I think it was obvious already. And Bailey said, "I'm gonna pick who my opponent is next week."
I mean a good segment. I like to see how they're gonna kind of build Nia Jax versus Rhea Ripley, and as we probably about ready to get further into Bailey, what her actual plans are going to be for challenging for what title she's going to challenge for. It's a fun little segment. Like, I really selling home that Nia Jax is just this like unstoppable force, and you better not get in her way.
Yeah, but I think they do need to do a little back and forth with Jade Cargill before she go against Rhea Ripley, because they made her look like a little bitch when Jade Cargill handled her quite easily at the Rumble. I
What
think they need to show them as equals a little bit.
I think because the way I'm kind of thinking that because as we'll say here in a second, the women's world title match, WWE title match is already kind of set. So as we're going into Elimination Chamber, most likely there's the women's Elimination Chamber match, and to solidify probably Nia Jax as the number one contender,
Right.
she's probably going to win and going to run roughshod, but we can maybe have a fun moment with Jade Cargill also in the match, and then maybe can go back and forth a little bit more.
Yeah, and that's a good point. Put Jade Cargill and Nia Jax in there. I know there were some complaints though about uh Jade Cargill at Royal Rumble for getting spots at Royal Rumble. She is not used to the big stage like WWE, and that's the difference between AEW and WWE. I'm
Yeah.
not going to go too much into that,
Well,
but
even with AEW though, they knew she wasn't like quite ready, so they really like took their time to try to kind of like slowly build her up. So
right.
they did.
But
They knew that.
I don't think they have the assets to train her like WWE has.
Oh, of course
Like
not.
WWE's got the whole NXT thing, the
Well,
whole training center
no,
thing. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like,
nobody has what WWE has right now.
right. And I'm not dissing on AEW
Yeah,
like that,
yeah.
because
The close.
AEW's got very good veterans that can train
Oh
you,
yeah,
but they do not have the
the built-in
facilities. Yeah.
Like, it's built into the WWE DNA at this point that they at least try that they can take raw talent and just like who don't know anything about the business and be able to build you to go into the business. Like
Right.
start to finish, like you know nothing to potential main eventer.
But I will say with Jade Cargo, because she held that TBS title for so long, and how they're pushing this Tiffany Stratton on SmackDown, because she's doing this like, hey, look, we're featuring Tiffany Stratton. She doesn't really have a storyline. It's just like, look, this match is next, and they're making a big deal out of her.
Yeah.
And she doesn't quite do a squash match, but like an enhancement talent match where it's like a 5 minute, she dominates the match and does the perfect moonsault to win it. This is why they need a mid-card women's title.
Oh,
And
totally.
I think they're getting to the point where they have enough women to do that. And with somebody like Jade Cargill who they haven't built enough yet, and one day will, but that's the next in line title, right? So I think they need something
Easily.
like that.
100% agree. Which that was kind of like the nice thing with AEW that they almost recognize, hey, let's do this, and then they utilize that. You would say did that very well to help build Jade Cargill's name while also getting her that much needed in ring experience. She still maybe has a way to go, but that went to a hell of a lot to her development as a performer.
And they helped her build up that title like Gunther's built
Oh,
up the Intercontinental title.
oh yeah, it definitely did not hurt that belt at all. Being that the first person you held that title is this nice young up and comer who's just wrecking people.
Right. And I feel like she could do the same thing for a title in the WWE, kind of not really Goldberg, but somebody kind of a Goldbergian run kind of thing going on.
Oh yeah.
And she can walk around saying, "Feed me more." I think that should be her thing that she does.
Nah,
And
she's
then
a person who's, I don't know, but I was just saying, like, she's a person who can says a lot just by a look.
yeah, she's got a great look, like the hardest body in the game, dude. Like, she's
Oh,
ripped as hell. She is scary looking, and you believe she can manhandle any of those women. You want to see a long. I don't want to see a rushed story with Bianca Belair.
no,
I want to see her get those skills. I want to see
oh
her
yeah,
build her skills, build her in-ring skills, and long-term storytelling with Bianca Belair. Some kind of year-long build-up to next year's WrestleMania or something like that. Like,
oh
I
yeah.
don't want
It's
something pushed.
yeah, it was fun having the nice little moment at Rumble, so to kind of tease what can happen. But
Yeah.
yes, agreed. Like, which with Triple H in charge, you do kind of believe that, oh, yeah, he knows how to kind of do the slow burn to build it up to where we need, while we're also building that in ring skill. So when we
Hmm.
do have it happen, they can go.
And bring in that Jordan girl from TNA too. She was freaking impressive too.
I think they're starting to have like talks with her because I don't know what her contract situation, but they seem pretty high on her,
She was a
being that they
knockouts
had a,
champion. I think she's a
oh yeah,
knockouts champion for a reason because she's impressive.
oh yeah. Oh yeah, there are like plenty of like backstage like pictures and whatnot she's doing with the superstars. So I wouldn't be surprised if they're like kind of in talks with her. Hey, when your deal's up, maybe we come on over here. You already kind of got yourself a foot in the door almost.
Yeah, WWE's women's main event picture can get real crowded real fast, and that's not a bad thing.
Not at
Like,
all.
if you can make the women's wrestling as fun to watch as UFC's women's card, like, that's a good thing, because
Yeah.
we talked about this on the Spit Take podcast. I almost watch UFC cards to watch the women fight. Like, it's that good.
It's I don't know if it's just the mentality or whatnot, but I can maybe count on one hand how many times I've been disappointed when a women's fight in the UFC. But how many times can you say you've been disappointed by a men's fight? Like I I don't think I've really ever seen a bad women's fight in the UFC. They always bring it, whether if it's because
They
they
do.
feel like it takes it took them longer to get there, so they need to really show off every time they go out there or whatnot. But or it's just the women's mentality in it. They always bring it.
And for a long time with women's wrestling, it's like, this is sloppy. Yeah, it's like, this is a terrible, like, it's like I gotta change the channel. And
Well,
now
that's
it's like some of these women wrestlers, I'm like, this is sometimes exceeding some of the male
I think
wrestlers.
I think it was like whether it could go on to say, and it's again another person who's implicated with the Vince McMahon stuff, like John Laurinaitis, like when the women that he wanted to bring in were more, he was
Right,
bringing in models and then trying to turn them into wrestlers. What we're
right.
getting now is girls that they, either like were athletic and interested to try this out, or they are lifelong fans that are passionate about this, so they want to succeed. They
hmm
want to show off. It's not just a paycheck to them.
Well, yeah, that's why, like, when I was watching uh, TNA, or it was still NWA back in like 2010, when they had the Kurt Angle Double J storyline going on. Um, when the Knockouts, uh, TNA, the women's wrestling was miles ahead of WWE back then. So the
They
Knockouts and the
really,
Knockouts tag team were stellar back then, tell you the truth.
but TNA really yeah, it was TNA because WWE they had some good women's wrestling and then it took a drop. TNA is what kind of really started this new age of women's wrestling
hmm
with in those mid to late 2000s. When you
Yeah,
talk about Gail Kim, Awesome Kong,
right.
the Beautiful People, they that was really the female wrestling to watch at the time.
Yeah, I can't believe Velvet Sky dated Bully Ray.
Married him.
That's ridiculous. Anyways, um, next was Seth Rollins and Cody. Well, Cody came out because he was gonna select his WrestleMania opponent for the which championship he was gonna go after, whether it be Seth or Roman, and we all figured he was going to choose Roman because that's the championship his father went after. And Seth came out and said, that's the Hollywood title. That's the political title. That's the Hulk Hogan title. And my title, the World Heavyweight Championship, this is the workhorse title. We built this title. This is the American Dream title. This is the Dusty Rhodes title. And Cody said he's going to think about it and get back to him on SmackDown. There's really not much to say about this because it came to fruition on SmackDown. But about this segment, I really did like. I got really hooked on what Seth Rollins had to say, though. I thought Rollins had good ring or mic presence here. I really felt what he was saying here.
It was a great promo, and there's you probably could not make a better case to try, because again he's trying to get him to challenge for his belt, because if the Royal Rumble's picking your world title to go after, it must be the best title.
Yeah.
And he's really just working to sell that to help solidify that belt, and get on him. It
Yeah.
was a good segment.
Yeah, absolutely. And he had a good point too. There it, I think he had a good point, because what happened on SmackDown?
Fair
It
enough.
became a political title.
Oh, and it's
It became
infuriating.
political
Yeah.
because Cody got pushed aside, and it became a decision by the board members to save
Here's
WrestleMania. So we'll get to that in a little bit. Let's keep going on.
yeah.
I want to stop. We're going to do a stop by midweek to AEW. Just some AEW news. Real quick, Tony Khan had an announcement Saturday, but he pushed that on till next week. So we don't quite know what that announcement is. What they're saying the announcement might be is that Mercedes Moan is coming to AEW, and Okada, which they were in a bidding war between AEW and WWE. We're having a bidding war. WWE is not matching AEW's offer. AEW's offering a large amount. I'm assuming to get that overseas money. And WWE's basically saying he either wants money or he wants fame. If he wants fame, he'll come here. If he wants money, he'll go there. Which I guess, I don't know. Do they think if he gets fame, will he get T-shirts and then he'll get T-shirt money? What are they thinking? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And quite honestly, WWE doesn't need them, to tell you the truth. So why would they spend more money? I know a lot of people are upset about that, but I can see their point. WWE is going to be on top no matter what. Why would I pay more money? And AEW's ticket sales, it was like 1,690 something. I forget how many tickets. I didn't write that down. But in a 9,000 seat arena, ticket sales have been on an all-time low. And quite honestly, I thought the last episode of AEW was pretty bad, personally. I just feel like when I watched SmackDown last night, or this morning I watched it, it was like SmackDown was building stories and building characters. That's what I saw. AEW is just like match. And I know they want to be like the wrestling show, but I want to care about what's going on with these wrestlers and these characters, and I don't, because that's what wrestling's all about to me. Is there's a story and there's personalities, and I don't get that as much with AEW. I feel like
I think AEW could really stand to bring in some more storytelling ability. Honestly, them losing Cody Rhodes, who's proven that he knows how to tell a story, even though right now it's the never-ending story. But just because having him, be able to kind of help guide a story, I think would be great. And I think that may be in his future if, as long as AEW doesn't kick the bucket, that he comes back and more or less helps guide them story-wise, like his father did all those years. You want to watch wrestling. You love the in-ring action, and there's story within the in-ring action. But the storyline of why these two guys, or two guys, two girls, or whoever's in the match are in this match, why do they want to get their hands raised? It's what makes you want to watch the match. Some people, we've had like issues like where, say, in the Attitude Era with Russo, like he didn't care about the matches, he just wanted story. No, yes, we love the story, but we also want the match. And then like AEW right now is just too much about the match and not the story. While WWE right now is building that storyline for where we go. Like there may be like a couple twists that we don't like about the Bloodline story, but we are still invested with what's going on with the Bloodline. We are invested in Jey Uso, Jimmy Uso, Solo Sikoa, Roman Reigns. When is Roman going to lose that title? Who's going to be the guy to finally take that off of him? Like, that's what invests us. That's what makes us want to watch the match. Like, the match is where we need to get to, but how do we get to that match?
You know, when we think that title's coming off of Roman, a lot of people are going to be watching that match.
Exactly. That's what's going to drive the eyeballs to the match. Now, the match still has to be good because we've had plenty of times where we've like been so invested to the storyline just for us to get that climax, and it's like a dud.
Mm-hmm.
But we are still invested. Like, let's get there.
Right. And I feel like AEW just Tony Khan is just a child to me. It's like he won't listen to anybody, but
He's more well again. It's his
or
dad's
he's
money.
listening to
Like
the wrong people. If you
exactly.
ask me, he's listening to
Again,
people, but I think it's the wrong people, and it's the people that will never end up in WWE or won't end up in WWE again.
all right. Now, like I say, yeah, you wanting to differentiate your product, but they're still telling a story, and you need to invest in that. Right now, it's more or less he's a kid playing with his action figures, and he's just like, oh, I got this guy and this guy. Let's have them fight.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it is that simple that the story is, I've never seen this guy fight this guy. These two will just beat the crap out of each other, and I want to see it. There's sometimes that's all the story you need. But you still got to tell that story.
I will say I did enjoy John Moxley, Jeff Hardy at the beginning of the show. I was like, that's a legend match, right? Jeff Hardy and
That's a dream match.
John Moxley.
And this is what you might complain about. That is that's a match that you want to see, right?
But that's a match that should have been built up, though.
Exactly. That's a match that you should have been like encouraged. Should have encouraged you to pay
And
money to
it
watch
was a
that pay per view.
solid match.
Yeah.
Jeff Hardy, and I mentioned that when I did my AEW morning after. Jeff Hardy looked good. He did not look like a drug addict. He did put on a solid show. Like the last couple of years, it's like he's been sloppy and stuff like that because he's been on drugs. He looked like he's been in recovery. He looks like he's been on the right track. He did his freaking standard swanton and all that, and his what do you call it? The
Whisper in the Wind.
Whisper in the Wind. Yeah, he did all that, and he looked freaking good in his late 40s or whatever. And John Moxley didn't bleed in 5 seconds. I think Jeff Hardy made John Moxley look good because usually John Moxley isn't good for me. Like he's just a brawler, and that's not usually my thing. Like I need a little bit of technicality in my matches. Okay, going on to SmackDown. Logan Paul. I just wanted to mention this just because I just think Logan Paul's funny. All right, he might be a trash bag in real life or whatever you want to think of him, but the crowd hates him, and he just comes out and just feeds off the crowd, and it's like the crowd wants him to be hurt, like wants him to be mad, and he's just like just a natural heel, and I love it. I think he's a terrible actor. I don't buy it, but I like how like how he's not phased by it. And I like how he must have got permission to like make fun of CM Punk because he's talking about like, I'm on a different level. I'm not out here going, ow, my triceps. I thought that was funny. But I don't know. I just think Logan Paul's hilarious. You got any thoughts on it?
He dude knows how to play a crowd. Like he is definitely a natural heel, and then like as what I think what we were talking about earlier, dude just has no shame. So like this stuff, like yeah, people booing him. It's like, oh no, 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 I'm good. No, this doesn't bother me at all. Like I'm still making all this money.
The thing I wanted to mention, it looks like Braun Breaker and Jade Cargill will be on SmackDown. They were both shown their signing contracts. Braun Breaker, I hope they do him well. He's not getting much of a pop when they show him on screen. So that means they need to build him up fresh to me.
I probably, yeah.
So they can't Vince McMahon him coming out with a Trojan freaking helmet or some stupid shit. Like,
no.
He needs to look good. He needs to look like a Steiner here.
Are you saying that he needs to come out like Big Papa Pump, chainmail and everything?
I think they should play up him as a Steiner. Like, enough with this Braun Breaker stuff.
I like the name's kind of already solidified, but I don't get why. Because yeah, like I guess maybe you maybe don't want to attach the name to him because of the how many different second, third generation stars like just kind of flop and like almost trying to ride on the name.
Well,
So
that's
maybe
fine,
like you're trying to differentiate, but
they don't have to name him Steiner, but like,
but they always mention, oh, this is Rick's son, this is Scott's
Steiners,
nephew, yeah,
and have him wrestle like a Steiner because I feel like I'm a Steiner fan.
Oh,
I loved watching the Steiner brothers are one of my favorite tag teams. I loved Rick Steiner, the dog-faced gremlin barking around. I love Big Papa Pump. He cracked me up. I don't feel like a lot of people got his humor like I got his humor. Like, he looked like he was the most serious thing. And then, like, he could not, like, he's like me, where he can't articulate anything. He just stumbles on his own words all the time.
One of the best Braun Breaker, like, because kid can talk too. That's the best part. One of his best things, like, I think one of his best promos when he's talking about, it's like, so my math is correct, and it always is. Just a little nod to the infamous Scott Steiner math promo.
Yeah,
the numbers don't lie. but yeah, like I think as long as I have faith in Triple H, doing a slow build because I think they've invested so much time in him already. I think they know what they have in him, know where he could be, what he could be, and I think they will gradually, like just slowly, like kind of bring him up to help build up his name and build up his repertoire and just make him look like a dominant beast is probably what they're probably going to go with.
And he's a great wrestler. He is.
Oh, no, he's great in the ring.
I'm surprised it took them so long to bring him up, and I'm excited.
It's been a while.
I'm excited about some of the feuds he can get into. I've liked his matches they've had. They had the match on Raw with Gunther a while back. I thought they were bringing him on then.
What could be really fun, I see like maybe a future main event, like him and Solo Sikoa going after one of the big titles, like down the road.
Sure,
that could be fun.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many good feuds that can come out of with him. So, yeah, I'm pretty excited about seeing Braun Breaker. SmackDown, I like what SmackDown's doing. I kind of like SmackDown better than Raw because it's not 3 hours. Uh,
They need to
and
fix
then,
that.
yeah. Yeah, and then Jade Cargill looked like she's going to be on SmackDown too. And
it makes you think like what like kind of new top talent's going to go to Raw then. I know SmackDown in recent years they've kind of been building more as the flagship just because it's on the big network on Fox. But Raw's always been like your number one show, and if you at least trying to keep them even, like who's like gonna be the top young talent that's gonna go there?
yeah, and I'm wondering what they're structuring, what their future plans are. Are they planning on keeping it two different brands, or what are they planning on doing with this too?
Having two main shows that share the same roster, I think it shows that it just makes both shows stale. Like if you can at least like differentiate both shows that you're trying to make a 1A and 1B, like you have to kind of keep a good two different rosters,
it's just what
roughly
they've
even.
been doing for all these years, but in the 90s, it was all one roster
Yeah,
a long time ago.
but that was when
Nitro and
also
Thunder and
that's when they
SmackDown and
had like
Raw.
that solid competition though. Like they did this almost so they kind of keep like competition, whether if it's just with themselves, but I don't
Yeah,
know. To watch two main shows like that, I kind of want there to be a little bit of a difference because if not, it just turns into one show's bigger than the other, and the other show you more or less watch just to kind of catch up what happened on the other show.
oh yeah. No, I'm not saying. I'm just wondering how they're structuring it or what they're doing. I'm not saying they have to do one thing or the other. I really have no opinion on it. I just don't know how TKO was planning on structuring things, especially with Netflix deal coming up. Because I mean, that's all streaming. I could watch that at any time. I don't have to watch it on Monday night. You know what I mean? Like, so
Right.
it's what is that structure going to look like?
Hopefully, with that, maybe it does get dropped down to 2 hours when you don't have to worry about the advertising revenue as much,
They
which is the whole reason
well,
Raw is.
Netflix is pretty much going to be ads now, unless you're
Yeah.
paying $22 for the ads free. But with something like WWE, is that going to be live on Netflix,
I would
or is that going to
imagine
be pre-recorded?
imagine like where it's more or less probably going to be when it originally airs be live, while then
Right.
you can watch the rerun, like how they normally do their pay-per-views and whatnot
It's kind of
anymore.
like
Premium live
Amazon
event.
Thursday Night Football,
But yeah,
So
exactly.
that's why I'm saying they'll probably still have ad revenue.
Okay. No, like, I'm saying that they'll still have it, but are you going to be less dependent on it to where, oh, well, it's not going to make much difference if we have a 2 hour, if we can just,
I
and
I think Netflix is starting to,
yeah. Well,
but
I'm just saying, like,
it's still
is it,
subscription based. But
yeah. But with it subscription based with ad supported,
right,
maybe like the ad, like having that extra hour for ads ain't going to make that much of a
right,
difference compared to just making a clean 2 hour show that you're going to maybe get more people tuning in for.
right. Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, 3 hours is too much because
Yeah. And
I
with,
think NXT 2 hours. I haven't watched
I
that for
think
a
it
while.
still is. I think it
Yeah,
still is.
I really think that should be an hour for
That was a nice for a developmental show. That was nice
right.
just having an hour for it.
That's what it should be. It's a developmental show, but they try to make it a big deal because they got their own pay per view coming up in Clarksville, Tennessee. I think that's Vengeance or something like that.
Vengeance Day, I think they're what they're calling it. But
Yeah,
yeah, like
we'll
they've
have to
always
check
done
on
like
that
the
too.
yeah, they've always done like the separate NXT like premium live event or pay-per-view style show. But they still had it for an hour for the longest time. The only reason it went to 2 hours when they decided to go head to head with AEW.
Oh shit, that's on tomorrow. Are we watching that?
The Vengeance Day?
Yeah. I might
I don't know, might have to.
go. Huh?
Might have to.
All right. Yeah, if you want to do a review on that tomorrow, we can do that. I might
Sounds
do
good.
it anyways.
Yeah.
Kabuki Warriors and Io turned on Bailey. So Bailey comes out and she starts getting in Io's face, and the Kabuki I don't know what I'm saying. Kabuki Warriors face.
Warriors.
Yeah. And I've kind of seen it. I think they were meaning for it. Kind of like this dissension or this like Kabuki Warriors, these 3 little Japanese girls kind of forming this bond and kind of leaving Bailey out. And Bailey's kind of getting in their face, and then they just turn on her. And then Bailey somehow gets a pipe, and I thought it looked sloppy. She fights back, and then Io and Bailey end up face to face, and Bailey and Io are going to fight in WrestleMania. Which, at least it's some kind of build up. And
they can work on it a little bit more. They got 2 months to do it.
They do. I just never bought the Io Damage Control connection because I just don't feel like Io speaks English.
Yeah.
So I don't feel like they're really friends.
Right. Well, there's always been, for the longest, and it's kind of helped this little storylines, like they've shown like a little bit of the distinction, especially with Io getting the Money in the Bank and getting the title shot, and like Bailey being like too overly, oh, this is my girl, she's a champion, yeah, you're a champion. And like Io's like, I don't need you to speak for me type deal, and her friends kind of coming on board and whatnot to help push this along. I think storyline's good. Maybe this execution wasn't the best at this moment, but I did see a lot of like comparisons because they were showing earlier on that as them speaking Japanese, like kind of like talking behind Bailey's back, and it was kind of like this moment was supposed to be reminiscent of the Batista turning on Triple H and going after his belt after finding out that he was the one. They were talking crap behind his back and trying to set it up for him to challenge JBL and whatnot. Try to almost like a little nod to that. Again, maybe not the best execution, but I see what they were going with. Like earlier on in the episode, that Bailey, like hearing them like speak like Japanese behind her back, and it revealed that Bailey, she actually can speak and understands Japanese, so knows exactly what they've been saying about her and whatnot. So
okay,
fun match though, at the very least.
Yeah, I like Io Sky. I like Bailey. I like the way they both wrestle. I think Io's not believable because she's so small. I think any of them could just pick her up and throw her, but I think she's a fun little high flyer. I think Bailey could really kill her in real life, but that's not why I watch wrestling. So sometimes my mind goes there when I'm watching wrestling, like, I don't believe that, and my mind's got to stop doing that. That's why when I was watching the Austin Theory Kevin Owens match earlier, I just didn't believe some of Kevin Owens' punches because he's just like literally just doing this. And I'm like, make that look more real, dude. Like, come on. Like, I want to believe I'm watching a fight here.
Some guys like offense doesn't always look the best. Yeah. That's like a people having to sell Shane McMahon's punches for the longest time.
Right. And then the end of the show, Roman Reigns comes down, and then Cody comes down, and Cody pretty much points at the WWE title and says, I want that. That you call that the political title, you call that the Hollywood title, whatever you want, but That was Bruno Sammartino's title. That was the title my dad got screwed out of. And that's the title I want. But, basically, there's somebody else that wants to talk to you. And then The Rock came down and basically Cody walked out and The Rock came face to face with Roman. And this is where I say, because at first I was very confused and it took me a minute because I was like, wait, how are they going to have Cody and Roman and The Rock and Roman at the same time at WrestleMania? It took me a little bit. And I'm like, wait, so they're Hulk Hoganing this when they basically, it reminds me of, what was that? When Hogan basically taken, well, he did that in WCW too, when he basically said they were going to give the title to Booker T, and Hogan said, I have creative control.
Yeah.
I'm taking the title. And Double J, and I remember that that show, Double J laid down for him and then walked out all pissed. And then Vince Russo comes out and says, F you, Hulk Hogan, we're having the real heavyweight championship tonight, and we're having Chris Benoit and Booker T, I believe it was Chris Benoit, fighting for the real heavyweight championship tonight. And Booker T ended up winning the belt, and there was a big problem with that. So it just kind of reminds me of that. And so to me, what's happening here is what they're being told is Brock's not going to be in WrestleMania. Punk's not going to be in WrestleMania. The Rock's here to save it. It's going to be The Rock and Roman Reigns, which people do want to see. But I think what people want to see more is Cody versus Roman. But to get the outside of wrestling crowd in, they want The Rock versus Roman. Yeah. And people are kind of pissed about this. I'm pissed about it because
I'm with you on it.
It's like, we want to finish the story. And what I hope this isn't true. What they're talking about is for Cody and Seth to fight once again, and for Cody to beat Seth once again, which, please, I want Seth to beat Cody. And for Cody to be either The Rock or Roman at SummerSlam for the title, which would mean Rock would have to turn heel, which might not be a bad thing, actually. But I don't think that'll ever happen. So it'd be Rock and Roman at SummerSlam, unifying the titles, which is so much wrong with that. Cody winning the title at SummerSlam, Roman losing the title at SummerSlam. I mean, unifying the titles again. It's unifying the titles when it was the WWF and the WCW title. That was awesome. When Jericho won the undisputed heavyweight title back in 2001 against Stone Cold, and who was it? Triple H or something like that? Or was it The Rock? Yeah,
it was.
Jericho won, and that was one of my favorite moments behind Mankind winning it, and that's what swayed the ratings war against WCW. And I'm out. If they do that, I don't know if I can handle it.
I have a fix. Now, I'm with you. I'm pissed. I think it was Cody's time. I think it was Cody's time last year, but he's still been able to maintain it. I really wanted to see him get it, and it looked like it was building up to it. This, and it's partially supposedly Dwayne kind of forced. He was apparently pushing this in the board meetings for this to happen, which don't like. But I think what could be an interesting fix for this situation, because what it's going to be is Cody versus Seth. And we're in both agreement that we do not think they need to unify the titles. Keep them separate. That's the whole reason why you're creating the second world title again in the first place. The third time we've done it. We don't need to keep erasing this. And it's also the better looking title, to be fair. Easily. To still challenge Roman for the WWE title at SummerSlam, if that's what we're going to do. And beat Seth or whatnot, but if you want to keep like Cody looking like Cody, like he's still going to be the guy, he can beat Seth in just a barn burner of a match like the two can put on, and we know they can put on. And the cash in after right when Cody is starting to celebrate exhausted. And we finally get Damian Priest cashing in, getting the belt, and Judgment Day holding on to it. And eventually we can have Cody go over and fight Roman for the belt.
That could be possible.
But agree, I do not like Rock coming in for it. That's just my fantasy booking to try to maybe fix the situation.
That could be possible. I just still feel like Roman needs to lose the title at WrestleMania.
I agree.
Big deal. And I don't want to wait another year.
Yeah, because I think we're both in agreement. We don't want to see The Rock just to get the title right now. It feels way too cheap.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's cheaper than say either Solo, Jimmy, or another one of the Anawi family coming in and like costing The Rock the title to keep it on Roman. No,
and don't get me wrong, I'm still gonna enjoy the Rock Roman match.
I would be too, but I'll probably be one of the people like helping like boo it on.
And it will, quite honestly, it'll probably be the same old. Sokoa comes down and interferes, and it'll probably be the same bullshit. You
Right.
know? And I can't imagine The Rock, because last time I think The Rock fought Cena, and he like tore everything, and that was what, 10 years ago? I mean,
yeah, it's gonna be any better. It's not.
Yeah. So I mean, I can't see The Rock doing too much. I don't know what kind of plan they have. It better be good. I'd much rather see Cody. Cody will put on a much better match. Roman does not put on an exciting match. He does the same two moves over and over again. He needs somebody to carry him. He does a great job selling.
I don't know, like he can bring it like as much as like it was overplayed. His matches against Brock were objectively great.
He can tell a good story. He can tell a good story. I mean, he does it the same way Triple H does it, right? Like Triple H doesn't have that many moves, but when you watch a Triple H match, like a Triple H Undertaker match, there's a freaking story. Like you don't need a lead up to a Triple H Undertaker, a HBK Undertaker match or an HBK Triple H match. You don't need a lead up. You just watch that match, and that's the story. There is a story in that match. And I think Roman Reigns can do that. I think he's the type of wrestler that has the potential to do that because of the way he sells, because of his acting ability. I just don't think he does anything exciting. I think he's more methodical.
Exactly. And that's the bad thing, because especially at this stage, that's more or less what The Rock's going to try to bring. So you almost need a workhorse to kind of help bring that along, and it's not going to happen.
Right. Someone's got to carry that match, and Roman's not a match carrier. Like,
no,
and let's face it, Brock and Roman needed other people to be involved in their match.
Yeah. Oh, the freaking SummerSlam match. with all the interference and whatnot, and all
Yeah.
the shenanigans was
It was
amazing.
exciting and it was
Yes.
a good story, but it couldn't be just them two. It,
No. And they didn't leave it as just them two. They brought in all the shenanigans and all the things, and it was entertaining as hell. But to your point, it needed help.
right. And that's what's probably going to happen in Rock and Roman is how do we make this look better because these two alone aren't
Right.
going to be enough. Anything else you want to add before we call it quits here?
I wouldn't say I'm good. Just disappointed with Cody not getting it. I don't know. At least with the Seth and Cody match, it's going to be pretty fun to watch as long as Seth is healthy enough to go. And even if maybe he's not 100%, both those guys prove when somebody's not 100%, they can tell a hell of a story.
Hell, maybe they run a storyline where they do a Seth Cody match, and then what's his name comes in, cashes the money in the bank, and makes it a triple threat match.
It could be fun too, and that could maybe help. That could help mask maybe say if Seth's not 100% to go.
He says, "I want my WrestleMania moment," and he interjects himself in the main event.
Yeah.
Says Judgment Day needs to be in this.
Oh yeah, and just being how kind of ironic would it be if Seth maybe even he's about to win and someone who pulls the exact same thing he did just cashes in and rains on his parade,
and then nobody looks weak. Seth doesn't lose again.
To him, you can let him get some real true recovery time in. Cody doesn't have to lose. Cody doesn't have to lose, and we keep him strong going in to face Roman. Yeah,
I don't want to see Seth lose again to Cody. I think that's my biggest concern because Seth will have to lose to Cody, and I don't want to see that again.
I think in that situation, I kind of want to see Seth take the loss because, like we said, if we're trying to keep we're trying to keep Cody strong for Roman.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
And then
Seth's
also
he's have to lose.
Yeah, and then also just on top of that, Seth, he probably needs some time. He probably just needs some time off. He's a truly amazing performer, but let him take some time off and recover. Let him heal.
Or Seth loses and he's pissed. That's long-term storytelling. Cody gets the other championship. Seth takes a break, comes back, says, "I've lost every time. This time I'm going to win," and goes after Cody with the championship.
That could be fun because we also...
and says, I'm insulted because I was your second choice.
Yeah. Honestly, that because we can maybe turn that, let's thinking just long term for the future, we can turn Cody and Seth as our new just truly great rivalry, our new Rock and Stone Cold, or Batista and John Cena, or Cena and Randy Orton. Just
because I think I like both those guys. I think I like how Seth's been less weird lately. Because Seth's usually this weirdo.
Yeah, it's nice when he kind of maybe just tones it down just a little bit. It can be fun, but he overdoes it.
That's why I really liked his mic work on Monday. I was like, that was really good. Because usually all this freaking mic work is too much for me. And it's like, dude, you're just talking too much. But I was hooked when he was talking there.
When having him be a little bit more serious about it.
Yeah, that was great. You can find Spit Take Podcast in anywhere that you get your podcasts. We just talk anything nerd stuff. Find us on Facebook, X, TikTok, anywhere you get your social media. And as usual, level up, guys.
Peace.